So talking about regulation, given the recent mishap that happened because of the billboard, which got, I think, fallen because of the storm in New Bombay, investigation happened that New Bombay and Mumbai has a lot of illegal billboards now. Notices are sent. But as market experts, where you are, taking these billboards in consideration for your marketing and communication, do you also cross-verify the vendor's license of those particular billboards? Or is it going to happen now because of such incident has taken place? Starting with you.
Yeah. So very unfortunate incident. And I think, the moment it came to, I think it happened in the afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock. And ever since, I just saw the video, I just prayed, and that's the message that I also put on some of the groups, that hope nobody is injured. And then, next day morning, we start hearing about that. And my heart really reaches out to all those people. Another thing, something which is involuntarily, quickly I checked is that which brand was there on that billboard. And then, I realized there was no brand there, right? Because, as a brand, you got an ownership about whichever media you are on. So if your brand is there, you got that responsibility that, that media should not hurt the customer in any way or the citizens in any manner. So in fact, thankfully, I cross-checked immediately with my marketing operations team. I actually made a note and sent it to them. And I wanted to understand what happens. See, what happens is that every billboard has got, a label physically. Every billboard is supposed to have a label which talks about the licensee of that, the period of validity, and the approval numbers, right? All those things are there. So for a long time, we had that practice that by awarding the contracts of billboard or any kind of, the outdoor, we always used to insist for the licensed media and always used to insist for looking at the proper certification with the users. After that, I again requested my marketing ops person to go and speak to legal person. Is there anything else that we need to, kind of put in over there? So we realized that we were in the right space. We were following the right norms and, we were completely complied, not just in terms of compliance, but in the letter and spirit, from a morality point of view. So that's what we've done. And also with an organization, we've got, and real estate actually, such a difficult product category where so many laborers, so many people work at the site and all those are difficult situations. I think, people's safety has to be amongst the topmost thing, and we take pride in saying that, people's safety is never compromised in any of our and in any. So this billboard thing was already fortunate.
So are you guys checking, or will you be now checking, making sure everyone has a license?
I think it's
and the right size, because what we got to know, BMC approved size is 40 by 40. This particular billboard was 120 by 120.
So I think it's an integral part of the way you conduct business in anything. As marketeers, we are so cautious about even hurting somebody's sentiment. And here we are talking of a case where lives have been lost. It's absolutely unthinkable tragedy. It's a wake-up call for, I think, many of us in the industry, not only in real estate, across that, what is the responsibility that we have and how much deep that responsibility runs. So as a practice, we work with the leading media buying organization in the country. So Madison is our media buying partner, extremely respected. And it has been put in place primarily because unfortunately, the out-of-home business in India is still very unorganized. It is not as organized as, say, print or TV or digital, because there are many parties involved in the process, right? I am the advertiser. My message will go up there. Then I have a media buyer. I mentioned about Madison, whose arm Platinum buys media for us, extremely professionally run setup. Then there is somebody who is selling that media or has license for that outdoor site. Then there is somebody who actually owns that site, right? So this chain is where the documentation that would go for us before awarding a purchase order for any outdoor site would very clearly ask for all the fundamental documents, right? Which is about about the license, about the validity, about the size, everything, about what is the description. And in our SLAs with our media buyer, just like we put the performance matrix, right? If it is a lit, it has to be lit. Are you sending auditing it time? Is it obstructing any views? Has it done any malpractice like cutting down trees and things like that? We are extremely stringent on that, putting that down. But what this case, unfortunately, is a wake-up call is that there is certainly I would say, a lax somewhere in this long chain.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a wake-up call for us as brands to increase the stringency of checks. So what has happened post that is, as part of new campaigns, the stringency has increased so much that so-called not to be missed sites today are being put aside if the documentation is not more than 100% satisfactory. It's not that it wasn't there earlier, but this is absolutely unacceptable that for something like that to cause so much calamity. So we have that responsibility to do more. We cannot absolve ourselves by saying that I have bought it from somebody. It is his or her responsibility to get all the approvals, documentation, everything is in place, right? Because end of the day, if God forbid your brand was there, it would have severely damaged, as much as it has resulted in calamity, it would have severely damaged the reputation of your brand. So you have that responsibility, and I think it is extremely unfortunately, like many other things, the wake up call only happens when there is a tragedy. But I hope this maybe is the final call which is needed for cleaning up a lot of that and organizing, get better players in the process, just like we have in the other medias that we use for our marketing campaigns.
So I've always given credit to RERA because among all the states, RERA has been always active and always made sure the customers, is also taken care, their grievances taken care. So when it comes to the policies of marketing, RERA has gotten a lot of policies in picture. Earlier, everyone could do the communication from the hoardings to everything. Now, if you're RERA or OC received, there are certain policies by RERA that how you need to communicate when you have to introduce your projects. So over the time, how do you see RERA has actually played a good role when it comes to real estate marketing, communication and everything? And what more regulatory firm needs to do for more betterment of the real estate industry in terms of focusing on the marketing and communication?
So, first of all, I truly applaud the efforts of RERA. And in fact, I travel to other states also, and I feel that RERA is actually the best implemented RERA in any state. Now, the communication is extremely clear, and there's a lot of focus on communicating the right thing only to the customers. One has to create the renders which conform to what you are going to deliver later. Also, the advertising that one does is also absolutely clear. And also, I think after the introduction of RERA, the consumers are feeling more secure and consumers are feeling more confident of buying real estate. Earlier, there used to be that fear, and then, people would somehow, they need to buy, so they used to buy. So I'm a firm believer that anything which is good for the consumer is good for the industry. If with RERA implementation, managing that or adhering to the policies, if it becomes a difficult business proposition for the builders, I think better be it. Because anything which is good for consumer is going to be good for industry. Because today when people invest their hard-earned money in real estate, they are sure, they are more confident that they are going to get the delivery and possession. I also discovered, after joining Rustamji and after some time is that, even before RERA's introduction, we used to run those kinds of schemes where we used to assure the customer that if you don't get it by a particular date, we'll compensate you. So it is something like giving that assurance on the table that you are definitely going to get that. So it was kind of a claim that we used to make, in certain products that we did. So, I think things good for the customer. Another thing, what I would like to say is little, going back on how it is happening in the industry. See, there are hundreds and hundreds of real estate builders in the market. Now, all those are providing, some offer value proposition to the customers. Customers are buying from them. I think it is also important for customers, if it is possible, you buy from trusted brand names. You are buying your most prized possession, most expensive product you are buying. Customers also need to be careful of the fact where they are buying from. There is one data which actually, surprises me because I worked in various industries, various geographies. Is, Mumbai real estate market is highly fragmented. Top 10 players have got just about 20% share.
Yeah.
Even less than that. And if I just tell you another thing is that in the COVID period, after the COVID period, 2021 and 21-22, it went up to 24 to 25%. And ever since the situation has normalized again, I'm not saying top 10, I'm the same is true for top 25, top 50. So people have that risk-taking ability. People go and take risk, and I think it is important for everybody to understand where you are putting your money and what you are buying, and buy it from the trusted players. So, having said that, I think the RERA implementation is universal everywhere. All the organizations are supposed to be, honoring what RERA is doing. In terms of marketing communication, there's a lot of structure there, is that you can communicate what you are going to do. And in fact, in our case, many a time, we get surprised, is that, is the render more beautiful or is the actual picture more beautiful? And in fact, we make those comparisons for the customer. When we are making a pitch to the customers, we tell them that, just try to figure out which one is render and which one is. Many a time, people say that original is render because that looks more beautiful. So I think it is good for the consumers. What RERA could do, I think, I think it is just that, because there are a number of players, right? How do you ensure that everybody understands the importance? Everybody, has that fear of law.
Yeah.
Everybody ensures, there are red lights, but still people jump red lights. There is that risk-taking ability in the people. Now, either you place policemen, traffic guards at every red light, or you make some automation which actually sends the challan at people's places. I think it is about the implementation of the law. Laws are always strong, stringent. I think implementation of the law is basically what determines, how much people comply with.
So you think the RERA, which is yet to still reveal, they had come out to grade the projects, right? Based on whatever the brand it is or whatever legacy they have or the background they have. They have started to introduce, or they are still in discussion that let's grade the projects, not basis on what legacy or what brand it is. Do you think this will also help customers to understand how, because they will see branded developers will provide you the date of possession of the delivery on the same time, amenities as promised will be delivered. This can also give I would say, a power to the branded developers.
Yeah, as a responsible corporate who has been doing this business successfully for more than 50 years, now 55th year, we always welcome efforts which enhances the reputation and the health of the industry. Unfortunately, one of the key pain points for real estate as a business in India was always about this lack of trust. And that got propagated even more when almost paper dreams were sold in many markets. Mumbai, that way, I would always say, has been far, far more mature and than many, many real estate markets in the country. Right? The Mumbai buyer has been far, far more stringent in actually deciphering what is true value or what is just too good to be true. Right? So the introduction of RERA is critical and essential for an industry of the size of real estate, which is about 12-13% of the GDP of the country. How can something which is such a large employment generator next to agriculture, the largest employment generator in the country, be left to the vagaries of few unscrupulous players who bring down the overall reputation of the business? Where is the incentive for then actually, I would say, good players, organized players, grade A players who invest huge amount of money every year in their systems, process, talent, infrastructure, technology to take the overall status of the industry up, right? Because they are left to a few players and then everybody gets colored by the under the same line, right? You as a consumer, you are not sure who to trust. That is a pain, and that as an individual, you will never be able to solve. You cannot go and say, "Oh, I'm very good, kind of stuff," right? So I think that's where the implementation of RERA was extremely essential, right? Which today has an incentive today for people saying that, hey, I cannot get away by saying anything. I cannot get away by promising anything which I know I'm not won't be able to do. So it has raised the standards, right? So and that's a key role of a regulator. And for the market to grow, for the market to mature and be at the same level as global real estate markets, that is where regulators, then warranties, guarantees, like if you look at the UK market, right? If you, the National Housing Board, there gives a 10-year warranty for any home that you buy.
Yeah.
Right? Their escrow systems are extremely stringent. So any transaction, if you buy a home in London, the transaction is between your lawyer and the developer's lawyer, and they are custodian of the entire money till the time the developer actually delivers. So, which we call as, say here, subvention schemes. That's the standard there. A developer cannot have more than 20% before delivering the home. Right? So, which are all signs of matured markets. We are progressing there. And RERA has taken, I would say, the absolute precedence, and they have taken the leading position in the entire country, saying that we are going to do things for the first time. And I see the grading of projects is a welcome step in that direction, done with the right intent, done by the right technical experts who have the understanding, appreciation of what is the difference between one project to the other. Say like your environment standards, right? Your, say, IGBC standards, right? Which helps you for a consumer to understand what are the things that has gone on behind creating this as an environmentally sustainable product, which will help me eventually save money, save good for the environment. So I would certainly see that as a very, very positive step taken with the right intent and by the right set of skill set of people being, I would say, engaged to do that process. Absolutely welcome.
So before I wrap up, this is my last question because he got the word subvention scheme. So in 2024, we have noticed during Feb and March, developers have reintroduced buy now, pay later, where the question comes in that is this reintroduction happening because there is a oversupply or softening demand, or is a proactive approach for having an active buyer sentiment, or I'll just reframe it again. So it's good he got the word subvention scheme, because my question comes in the picture is in 2024, Feb and March saw a different marketing and sales happening where the developers have reintroduced buy now and pay later. The question comes in, is it because there's an oversupply and a softening demand? Or is it because there's a proactive approach to understand the buyer sentiment and taking an approach of sales momentum happening? So what is your take on this?
Is there an oversupply, actually? So I think the data that I've been seeing, Tirthankar, is that, in the entry and the mid-level, aspiration level, below 3-4 crores, I think supplies are lesser than the consumption, than the absorption. It is only in the premium, super premium, and maybe to some extent in luxury projects. Because in the last 3-4 years, there was a lot of offtake, absorption of luxury products. And also there are, the consumer preferences are going towards premium and super premium. That is where there is an expectation in the market, is that pie of the market will eventually grow faster and larger than the other. So maybe there may be some kind of readjustment happening where there are more units coming in premium and super premium, because in the last 2 years, thankfully, the pie has grown and marketeers may be sensing an opportunity there, and hence most of the players are readjusting. Now, so I don't think, there is an oversupply or there's an issue of more inventory with the industry, at least with the top players in terms of the data that we see. And so I don't think there's a pressure of supplies. That's point number one. The markets are likely to continue to do well. The economy looks robust. The fundamentals look robust. The growth rate for Indian economy has been now revised again, upward 6.7%. So we are expecting that, the capital markets are doing well, right? And and somebody commented that, I think this is the first ever time when all asset classes are doing well, whether it is the stock exchange or it is real estate or even gold also. So all asset classes are doing well. Generally, it used to happen that, and then, when all the asset classes are doing well, the chances are maybe, at times people try to liquidate or realize their investments in stock exchange, put it into more stable and larger ticket sizes like real estate. And then, that is the process which continues. So to my expectations, I think the market will continue to grow. Mumbai market CAGR has been about 25 to 27% in terms of value in the last 3-4 years. While in terms of units, it's been about 17-18% Y-on-Y. So I think, this trend will continue. So this upscale will continue. The percentages may slightly come down because the base is growing every day. I think what's happening is that builders, because the inventories have got liquidated, you got more cash, and, you are having less debt as compared to what used to be in the past. I think it is an effort to nurture and continue to build that market. I think every consumer-friendly organization would like to create a situation where it is easier and comfortable for the customers to buy. I wouldn't think of it as, an aftermath of oversupply or thinking about, having that feeling of being scared that, what if and all that. I think it is about, trying to look at the competitive levels in that market, trying to make your proposition best possible for the customer. And then, every brand will have their own story, whether you want to work on CLP or on the payment scheme. Consumers also understand at times is that if there is a payment scheme, maybe, there is a different cost. If I want to work on CLP, then I can ask for discount. We've also seen, at times when we offer payment scheme, customers come and say that, what if I manage it myself, through my bankers and give us discount, and customer is happy with this. So I think it is fine. It is just one of the marketing efforts or one of the consumer proposition efforts.
If it's not oversupplied, do you agree that it is to proactively, enhance the customer sentiment and sales momentum with the subvention scheme?
So subvention has its role to play when you want to have a spike and come out of a steady cycle, right? The most successful cases have been when you have, say, suppose in a development, you have another round of inventory that will come up and you would want this shelf space to be emptied for the new product, right? So I'll just go back to a little bit on the fundamental of real estate. I believe real estate business is basically a mix of two businesses. One is which it draws from hospitality and travel, which is yield management. It's like in a hotel, yesterday's room is not today's room. So yesterday's sales is not today's sales. You have to sell today. And the second it draws is from FMCG, which is velocity. I have to have things moving fast so that my shelf space keep getting emptied for new product to be put there. If that keeps occupying my shelf space, I'm not only blocking my working capital, I'm also blocking my ability to introduce new product in the distribution. So when your business is an amalgamation of these two, the velocity becomes very important for you to move, right? It's not, if you look at the overhang of supplies in Mumbai, it has dropped and more so for grade A players. Just to give you a ballpark idea, my annual operating plan for this financial year depends 40% on new product launch. So my same store sales cannot give me the growth that I need because there is so little inventory which is left in my existing projects. So the growth, so it's not a question of that desperation and inventory overhang, which was there. And handfully in India, the subvention levels were not as ridiculous as some, where people were giving 5 years, 6 years, 7 years forward subvention. Like in 2018-19, there were certain developers, say in Dubai, who were giving you 10 years forward subvention. You move in today, start saying, pay me up for the next 10 years. No bank, nothing involved, right? Which is not the case. We are far more robust today. The health of the leading players is far, far better than what it was, say, pre-COVID. So a lot of times, a lot of this is also, so BNPL as a strategy is not just limited to real estate, right? It is there in every field, every product that you buy. The most expensive phones are also bought on subvention, isn't it? So if that's the case, so are they desperate to sell, or are they not being able to sell? The leading, say, mobile brand, their India business is growing manifold. So
Sales for sales momentum.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
So a lot of time is that. The second thing is also attracting a larger pool of customers who may not have considered you, thinking it is beyond my limit or budget to buy.
True.
Then when you explain to them and break it down for them that everything comes at a cost, but maybe your earning ability will also increase over them because the economy is doing well. Most of us have a very positive outlook on the economy and our personal growth. So we believe we are going to do better tomorrow than what we are doing today. So basis that belief, you would be able to invest in something which is so important for you, which you may not have thought that something which you would have invested in at this point of time. Maybe you would have waited to accumulate a little bit more wealth before taking that plunge. So that's where subvention schemes also have a role to play in certain segments of products. In certain categories of products, like absolutely at the top end, we always more often than not see reverse subvention, where our investor would come and say, if I pay you more, will you give me an NPV discount and let me pick it up? Because that's not the challenge that he has. His issues are very different than a 1 or a 2 bed home buyer in a Mumbai suburb.
So that's why Sir rightly said, because aspiration is one of the thing where subvention scheme work with the home buyers, right? Because in India, the major purchaser of Apple, if you see their stats, is India, because of this EMI scheme, and half of the I would say the sales or the people coming in is from the India market for the Apple user.